Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is May 5th, 2022. It is Cinco de Mayo, and it is time for the portal readings, the double number portal readings that I promised you this year. So let's take a look at some numerology and what I think that perhaps this 5-5 portal is opening up for us, and then we'll do a card reading on it. So let's first look at the numerology here. So, alrighty. And we begin. Okay, guys, so we're looking at the 5-5 portal reading. So what I do is always look at the numerology of something first. And if we look at the 5-5 portal, now 5-5, right, is if you add a 5 and a 5 together is a 10, right? It's a 10 vibration, but we have to add the universal year into it. And when we add the universal year of 6, we come up with a 16-7 vibration. And of course, as many of you know, the 16-7 is the Tower card in the tarot. And the Tower card, while often when seen in a reading terrifies people, really it is a card about illumination. It's about the truth coming out. The pretenders are done, and that which is false is revealed. So it is a truth vibration. 7 is a vibration of knowing yourself. 7, the 16-7 reminds us that we are spirits having a human experience. The tower that is depicted in the Tower card is the tower of our ego. It is what we construct around us that can sometimes give us a higher perspective on things. We can accomplish things, as we create these towers. We can go up in these towers, we can see things far afield, we can get a lay of the land, we have a sense that we're in charge of everything, and then the lightning strikes, and the earthquake happens, and the tidal waves surge, and the tower comes tumbling down, because the tower is the false self. It is not the true self. And so it symbolizes that for us personally, but it also can symbolize that for a country or a situation, or in this case, an illumination. The tower is the lightning that comes from the tower is associated with the hand of God goddess, right? The divine coming down and destroying that which is false and revealing the truth. Of course, the 5 is a number of change. The 5 is also a number of freedom, but the 6 is a number of responsibility. So we cannot have freedom without responsibility. We cannot have freedom without change. And we can't have freedom, change, and responsibility without illumination to what we are responsible for. And as I wrote here, the jig is up. So on the major aspect that's occurring today on the 5-5, the 5-5 portal is a conjunction between Uranus and the Sun. Uranus and the Sun. We just had a new moon with Uranus in a close conjunction to the new moon. The new moon is at 11 degrees of Taurus. And now a few days later, the Sun has caught up with Uranus, and we start a new synodic cycle. And it is about progressivism. It is about moving forward in a more progressive, egalitarian way. It has to do with freedom. It has to do with self-determination and an ability to the rights to yourself, to your unique and genuine self. It can be very disruptive, and it can feel like a shock to the system. And so I decided that this was most likely the major energy of the 5-5, because the lightning of the tower, um, as we see it here, this lightning in astrology is under the purview of Uranus. So what was the most shocking thing that has happened? Now that's quite a question, because there seems to be every other day a shocking thing. But what really has shocked, I think, most people, well, not everyone, I wasn't certainly shocked by it, but many people are, was the Supreme Court, the leak, the Alito leak, right, of the Supreme Court. So I wanted to look at the Supreme Court. When was it? When did the Supreme Court? When was it established? So I went to Wikipedia and I got a date, March 4th, 1789, which happened to be a Wednesday, in case you were wondering. I just put noon because there was no time. I'm sure there is a time listed somewhere, but I couldn't find it in the 2 minutes that I researched it. So, but we can look at the vibration of the day, March 4th, 1789. March, of course, is 3. The 4th is the 4th. 1789 is a 25-7 vibration. When we add that together, we get a 32-5. The significance of that is that 32-5 is the path of life for the U.S., but it is also the U.S.'s shadow. The U.S.'s shadow. And 5 is about freedom. And so this is the guarantee of freedom, but also the shadow side of freedom. And certainly the history of the Supreme Court is full of things that made us freer, but also acceptance of many of the shadows of the country. Now, we would like to think that we progress and we get past those things. Jim Crow laws are not constitutional. Preventing, people from being married because of sexual orientation is not constitutional. I mean, women don't even have equal rights in the Constitution. Excuse me. So it's certainly not perfect at this point, but I just thought it would be interesting to see what it looks like here. And I did use an Aries ascendant because we don't know the exact time, and the moon in this case may or may not be in the correct place. Where is it? We have the moon here, but we can see here that the North Node is in Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius is a sign that rules with justice and truth and justice. So really, it was about moving into the truth. We do have Mars square the nodes here. And even widely, we have Venus square the nodes. Mars in Aquarius, moving forward in an Aquarian way, right? That's, it's democratic. Aquarius is an energy of democracy. And so in order to move into this North Node, we need to apply ourselves to that, to justice. Justice for the people, Aquarius, right? Justice for the people, which kind of makes sense. It is the Supreme Court. We do see that there is a whole lot of Pisces energy in this chart, including Saturn in Pisces. Now, Pisces isn't particularly, there's a mystery around Pisces, right? There's the energy of obfuscation with Pisces. We can't see things clearly. And so there's a mystery and a sort of almost like a mythical, there's this mythical quality to the Supreme Court. And we can see it here with all of this Pisces energy. So then I wanted to see, what did the chart look like for the Supreme Court when this brief was leaked? Well, the brief was leaked as I understand it, March 2nd, 2022 at 8:32 p.m. and I said it for Washington, D.C. I was in the middle of a class, one of my astrology classes, when one of my students pointed out that in the middle of class, she announced it, that she must have saw it on her feed. And it was pretty shocking. The day that it happened, 5/2/2022, vibrates to a 13/4, which is the death card. So the death card, certainly this isn't the death of the Supreme Court, but this is a change. We definitely see. So this incident creates change. If we actually look at what was in the sky at the time and how it sits on the chart of the Supreme Court, there's a couple of things that are evident. We have Mars making an almost exact conjunction within 8 arc minutes of exactitude to the Saturn of the court. Now, Saturn is a sense of authority. And in a way, it's somewhat of an attack of the authority of the court, but in a very sort of Piscean sort of things slipping out, precipitating out. There's, again, this whole sort of mystery energy. We also have Jupiter here, about ready to move out of Pisces. It's going to be moving into Aries on the 10th. But it is within orb of this Mercury. We have Neptune sitting on Mercury, and Neptune, moves very slowly. So Neptune's been hanging around Mercury for the Supreme Court for a while now, and things have been pretty sneaky, and things have been pretty underhanded in concerning the Supreme Court. With it started with Merrick Garland not given his opportunity to run to be a Supreme Court nominee because of Mitch McConnell. Then it was Kavanaugh, who was brought in, probably not the most morally upright citizen, who actually became known and became a player when he was working with Ken Starr against Bill Clinton. And it was his suggestion that they bring up all the gory details of what happened between the president and Monica Lewinsky. And he was, of course, then given the Supreme Court nomination as a thank you for his wonderful work. And then we have Amy Coney Barrett, who got put in a week before the election, who is, very much a pro-life person, although she said that, if it's president, she's not going to mess with it. Gorsuch said he's not going to mess with it. Kavanaugh said he's not going to mess with it. All lies, all lies. And with Neptune was sort of hanging around that Mercury, not surprising. The other couple of interesting things I want to point out about this chart is that transiting Saturn, and transiting Saturn, like, holds us responsible, is actually sitting on Black Moon Lilith in Aquarius. Black Moon Lilith is the goddess that was kicked out of Eden because she wouldn't lie beneath Adam. So she was kicked out and made the mother of demons. And here she comes back with Saturn there, with Saturn holding people responsible. We also have Venus just moving into Aries. Remember, Venus just spent the first half of the year, except for her time in Pisces, with very, very challenging job in front of her, with a retrograde, 3 conjunctions to Pluto, 2 conjunctions to Mars, and now she's coming out fighting. So we can see this energy as well. Venus makes a trine to the Uranus of the court. So I think that's interesting. So there's a flow of energy, Uranus, of course, being changed. And we do have actually Pluto in an opposition to Uranus. So this may be eventually when, well, it's in orb now, but when Pluto moves into Aquarius, which is going to happen next year in 2023, we could see a big shift and a big change in the Supreme Court, which I'm not sure what that's going to be. It could very well be adding some more justices. Maybe it's calling, what's his name? Clarence Thomas to task. I did not realize that there are no ethics on the Supreme Court. They are above ethics. Now, how can you be a judge and be above ethics? That I don't understand. So these lifetime appointments may be up for review as well. Although I think that would be a powder keg, honestly. Okay, we do have Mercury here also on the south, conjunct the south node of the Supreme Court. So all these connections, I think, are very telling, very interesting. In fact, as I look at it here, we also have Saturn making a trine to Neptune here. So a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on that Supreme Court. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's do a card reading. So I'm going to use my Crow Tarot, and this is a message for the portal. Not necessarily, this is not necessarily about the Supreme Court, but a reading for the 5/5 portal. What is the 5/5 portal energy to reveal to us? What is the 5/5 portal energy in 2022 revealing to us? What is the illumination? Is the illumination? I'm seeing a very calm sea, very calm body of water. That's what they're showing me. What's calm on the surface may not be so calm. I'm seeing the stars being reflected in the calm water, as above, so below. Okay. All right. All right, let's see what's going on, guys. We have the Temperance card. The Temperance card in Kabbalah is the path that connects Tiphareth, the heart, the Christ consciousness, the higher self, to Yesod, the foundation. It is the path of the mystic. It is a path that we must walk carefully. It is the straight and the narrow. It is alchemical. It is alchemy. Let's see what's crossing that. The Six of Wands. So the Six of Wands, if you remember, is the card of the Supreme Court, the 32-5. This is also the card of the US. Let's see what's underneath it. We have the Four of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is an energy of holding on to the resources, but it's what the resources, it's the basis of, you know, 4 is a building number. And so this is about, at the core here, at the root is the stability of the base of something, the stability of the base, the stability of the foundations, the foundational principles. In the past, we have the Queen of Pentacles. This is the sustainer queen. This is somebody who understands the value of things. Let's see what's in the sky. The Page of Cups, messages. Messages. We have, in this deck, we have the crow here, the fish is there. We have Cancer, the crab. The US is a Cancer country. We have the star here. In a way, these are all sort of symbolic of the US. And it is a Pisces card, which we know that we have the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn in Pisces for the Supreme Court. The High Priestess. Something in the immediate future, something is about to be revealed, something that we did not know. Excuse me. Is about to be revealed. Something we did not know is about to be revealed. How it's seen from the outside. A feeling of being kept in the dark, really, and controlled, kept in the dark and controlled. Controlled by fear, perhaps. Domestic situation. The Hierophant, this is the government. It is the 5 vibration, right? The Hierophant. Change, freedom. Possibly a review. Hopes and fears. The King of Wands. Agency. Hoping for agency. The outcome. The Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles. Let's keep moving and see if we can get a major arcana. The Six of Cups, nostalgia, and the World, the end of a cycle. So really, this looks a lot like a reevaluation of the structures of the government, how we are governed, the Constitution. This is in the immediate future, the Constitution. And there is a changing of the guards here. Changing of the guards. this seems to me, these cards speak of a necessity for healing. We need to challenge our sense of freedom. What does freedom mean? How can we have freedom without being responsible? I think with these, I think this reading is actually about the Supreme Court, honestly. The only thing missing is like the Justice card, right? Because we're talking about court. But these three cards as outcome cards, the Three of Pentacles, the Six of Cups, and then the World. This can be dark money. This can be nostalgia, the past, and this is sort of a wrapping up of that. And so I guess I need to really do a separate reading on the Supreme Court, which I will do. I'm not going to make it as part of this 5-5, even though that seems to be the theme that's coming up with this 5-5. But this is an opportunity for us to heal. This is an opportunity for us to evaluate the foundation. What do we stand on? What do we stand for? Is what we, the people, want actually that which is getting done for us? This is supposed to be a representational government. And so the legislators need to legislate, and we have to stop doing this sort of fiat, like making law, deciding things by fiat. We need to sit down and we need to learn how to talk to one another again. We are in the middle of our Pluto return, and that is the Pluto return of the Declaration of Independence. There is a Constitution chart, and in the Constitution chart, Pluto is in Aquarius. And so the Constitution is still up for reevaluation. And that is going to be part of, I think, Pluto moving through Aquarius will help us to sort of develop where that's going to go. But I think that these cards are signaling the end of an old way and the necessity to decide what we stand for. And those things that have been hidden from us are starting to be revealed. And that's going to help us make the decisions that we need to make in that respect. Okay, that's what it looks like from here. I also want to pick a rune card. So this is for the 5-5 portal. This is information for the 5-5 portal. I almost feel like we're going to be looking under the robes. Not in a gross way either. Pick a rune card. What's the message? 5-5, 2022. What's the message? 5-5, 2022. Fehu. Fehu. Fehu means cattle, and it's wealth. In this deck, it's Fehu is about the wealth of the tribe, so to speak. And we can see this is very Taurian, right? A very Taurian card. Okay, let's see. Fehu. Cattle, wealth. In ancient Europe, cattle were used as a form of currency. However, they represent far more than a person's monetary wealth. The size of a person's herd represented their honor price, their status or worth in the community. A person could raise their honor price through hard work or service to the community, or lower it by committing some crime and having to compensate the victim. Someone with no honor price was considered to be a slave, but even this could change. Someone born into slavery could work off his debt and win back his honor for both him and his descendants. The honor price of a bard or an artisan was considered to be almost as high as a king's, even though he might not actually tend cattle. A certain portion of the tribe's livestock were considered to be his. The same rule applied to the king or chieftain, which is where the term a king's ransom comes from. If you killed a person, you would have to pay that person's honor price to their family. This was the basis of Brehon law in Ireland, and a similar system existed throughout most of Western Europe. This room reminds us that we must be secure in our physical situation before embarking upon any spiritual journey. We might begin with the mundane reality of our lives, although many people um, may never get beyond this point. In many ways, we have become domesticated as the cattle, living our day-to-day existence without wanting or even being aware of anything more being possible. The first step in breaking away from this situation is to catch a glimpse of what is possible without dwelling on what security we may lose to attain it. So this is the price of freedom. Divinatory meanings on a physical level. This room represents wealth, status, or business dealings. It can also represent in these areas, since Fehu is by its nature a fluid kind of wealth, constantly changing and easily gained, wealth easily gained or lost. Wealth can either be a positive or negative thing, depending on a person's the person's perspective. Money can be a stable foundation from which to build, allowing a person to pursue more spiritual matters without having to worry about whether they can feed or clothe themselves. It can also be perceived as an end in and of itself, and many people can get caught up in this trap, thinking that only they just had a little bit more, then everything would be fine. On a deeper psychological level, this rune can represent a person's sense of self-worth, the ego. It can mean satisfaction with one's work or home life, or a goal that a person has set out to pursue. In this knowledge of where one wishes to go, how one wishes to get there, Fehu can also represent someone who thinks too highly of themselves and is convinced that their opinion is more valuable than anybody else's. Well, doesn't that sound like some of the Supreme Court justices? Spiritually, Fehu can represent a karmic debt, usually one carried over from a past life. This relates back to the idea of the honor price. We all are born with a certain amount of karmic baggage, both positive and negative, but we can change this during the course of our lives by working through problems and learning from them. To this extent, we are masters of our own destinies, but only if we are aware of the consequences of our actions, both past and present. Again, wealth can be either positive or negative, depending on how we use it. We must be aware of the consequences of our actions. So this is reminding us that we have to be responsible, that we can't run before we walk. We need to look at our foundations and understand that this is about a fluid type of wealth. Things have to move. When you hold on to things too tight, that's when they become a problem. So these are all things that the 5-5 portal is opening us up to. I feel as though it is part of this holding people in power accountable to their actions and to their word. If you can't trust a judge, if you can't trust a Supreme Court justice to be true to their word, then who can you trust, honestly, right? I mean, wouldn't that be considered the most trustworthy? And yet we see what went on with Ginny Thomas and her husband, what kind of justice that he has been. Um, and it's very, it can be very disheartening, but um, there are still good people in there. And I think that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so nobody should have absolute, the absolute end all be all, unless they're being, um, unless we can clearly see where things are, how things come into being, what's really happening in these situations. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please like and subscribe. Have yourself a wonderful day. Namaste.